Hi friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. Today I wanted to show you how to make this card, how I made this card. And of course you can adapt it to your own desires. But let's go ahead and just get into it. So before we get started though, I did want to just quickly introduce myself to those of you who perhaps do not know me. And I am Rita with Rita's Paper Motif. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I love all things paper, and there's nothing more that I would love better. There's nothing better I would love than to be your demonstrator. So if you don't have a demonstrator, be sure to comment in the bottom, and then somehow we'll connect. You could email me at ritaspapermotif.com. Just leave a comment there in any section, and I'll get in touch with you, and I'd be more than happy to get you the annual catalog. And in this catalog you would find stamp sets, ink, paper, special paper tools, everything that makes our paper crafting easier and more beautiful. So if you're a scrapbooker or a card maker, this would be the line of product I think that you would enjoy. Now we are also coming up with a new mini catalog, which is tailored for the time frame of January through June, and that will be going live here in January 4th. So you can also take advantage and look at both catalogs online by going to ritaspapermotif.com. And there, if you hit the Shop Now button, you can definitely take a look at the catalogs. Also, this is my host code. So if what you like today, if you would like to order any of the products, you also can go to ritaspapermotif.com in my online store. By clicking Shop Now, you would get there. You can order any of the products from the catalog. Please be sure and use my host code. We do get credit for that. All right, so one last thing before we get going is that if you like this content, or if you're more interested in more content, then please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like anything that we do today, then please go ahead and hit that like button. I also like to know who likes to view this content. So just leave me that you're watching or where you're watching from. It's just kind of a nice thing to do. Just brings me a little closer to touch with you. All right, so this is the card that I wanted to share. You know, at first I thought it was going to be a more masculine card. And then I thought, no, I don't know, it could be either, right? And now as I'm looking at it with all the shine and glamour, this would be an awesome anniversary card or even a wedding card. It's something about the color. So, you know, you really can adapt it to whatever sentiment you want. I did do it for a birthday card, but really the option is pretty big there. So whatever you would like to adjust it to. So let's go ahead and get started. So almost all of my cards, I shouldn't even say that. Most of my cards are A2 size cards. Now I have been using, because I have them in my inventory, some of the little note cards that Stampin' Up! Has available, and they're great because they already come cut, and really all you have to do is go with the fold and you have already a card base. So those are a great option as well. All right, so what I did is in this card, I started out with this little print, and I hope you can see it. I think they call that herringbone. And I thought, what can I do with it? So that was my thought process. And I wanted to use it as a card front, but obviously that against white, it would just drown it, right? So I just matted it onto some basic gray cardstock. Also, you can find that in the catalog. And I'll just say right now, everything that I use today unless I tell you otherwise, can be found in the catalog. So I used the basic gray cardstock, and then I just matted that herringbone pattern on the basic gray. Now this herringbone pattern was in a package of designer paper that somebody gave to me, so I'm really not certain where they found it, but by no means did I want it to go to waste. So here we go. So let's go ahead and begin. So as we begin, we're going to start out with our card base. Again, this is actually one of those note cards from Stampin' Up. So it's just maybe about 1/8 of an inch smaller as far as the width here. So let's just go ahead and use it. I always like to use my scraps and my leftovers and my inventory. That's what it's there for, right? So this is the paper that I'm going to use today as the, instead of that herringbone, I'm going to use this. And then I do have some basic gray, and I think that this basic gray is already cut. We just need to slice a little bit of the edge off. It's already cut for that paper. So I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer here. And what I like about this trimmer is that, I guess I can't see it that way. Try to keep it in your in the camera range. I like this trimmer because it has a plastic guide that locks. So you saw I had to kind of maneuver to get it open there. So this is forward. I want just a tiny bit of a border. So I'm going to put it at 3 6/8. And with this trimmer, so I'm measuring along the guide. Sorry, I'll try to stay clear here. So I am measuring around the guide. So when I measured right here where it says 3 6/8, and then I'll just make it flush with the guide here, with the base. And then I close my guide, and this gray blade is the scoring blade. So we're not going to need it, so I'll move it up to the top and then make sure my cardstock is still straight. And then this dark blade is the cutting blade. And we do have replacement blades if you need them. However, these blades stay sharp for quite a while. And I have even cut cardstock, I've cut foil, I've even cut the chipboard with this, and it still does. There's no need to change it yet. What I also like about this trimming tool is that it has an arm that extends to 17 inches, and I do scrapbook as well, so having that extension is perfect. I like the guide because you can see through. I like that it has measurements at the top, middle, and bottom, so however you're cutting, you still have that guide, you still have the lines. And also on the blade, there's a little notch in it, and on the guide here is a ruler. So if you put paper in here and you don't need to cut all the way down, you certainly can use this ruler to measure and to cut to that line. So great tool. This is kind of a basic, it's kind of a need to have. And so let's go back to our card that we're making here. And so I am definitely going to have to cut this down. So we did do this at 3 6/8. So we're going to do this a little bit smaller because I want there to be a border. And so I'm going to trim it almost at the 3 3/4. I'm just going to give a little border there. Sorry if I was out of range here. And I'm going to go ahead and trim. And then, now I know with this one we're also going to have to pay attention to the length because obviously it's longer than what we want. So we're going to go ahead, and we know that this is 5 1/4 So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 5. Now, when you're using this designer paper, if there is an end that you don't like, so see where it looks like there's more of a border on this, or margin on this bottom. So I'm just going to turn it around. And what did we say now? I already forgot the measurement here. So this was like 5 1/4. So we're going to cut it at 5 and let's do 2/8. Actually, let's just do 5. So we're kind of even there. Now we trim that up and let's see how it fits while we have our trimmer out. Oh, I like it. Good job. All right, so we don't really need this. We'll go ahead and get rid of it. Now we saw on the card that I made that we had a banner going down the side. And so I also like to use sketches just for inspiration. And I'm sure that because I went to this, there is a sketch. I don't know what the number is, but there are some free sketches that you can just Google and they'll give you options. So we're going to go ahead and cut this paper. This is like shimmer paper. I'm thinking, oh, I already have one that's cut. So this one is already cut and it's cut at 1 1/2 by 4 1/2. So we want the paper that is going to be on this to be this shorter, smaller, so that we have a border. So if this is 1 1/2, let's go ahead and make this 1 1/4. That will give us about 1/8 of an inch border, correct? So we'll go ahead and cut it. And let's see if we like it. I like it. Now we need to make it shorter. And so this is 4 1/2. So let's cut it at 4 1/4. And we'll check while we have our trimmer out. Let's go ahead and check. And that works perfect, as you can see. So I think we're through with our trimmer. Let's go ahead and put that up. Now we can work basically with our card. Now, I am going to go ahead and adhere. This is some designer paper that actually has retired. And so as with all of our most of our designer paper, you will have one print on one side and one on the other. So sometimes the print on one side will be seasonal or thematic, and then the print on the other side will be general and can be used throughout the year. So let's go ahead and glue this on our adhere it. I'll move this to the side so you're not distracted by it. Now the adhesive of my choice, as you've probably heard me say many times, is this Stamp and Seal that can be found in the catalog as well. And the reason I like that is because it's strong and it's not so messy. Many people like the all-purpose glue, and it is good for some applications. That is the only glue to use. But I have issues with that glue because you can't use a whole lot, or it makes a mess. So because I'm heavy-handed, it's really my problem why I don't use it. So we're going to put this aside, and then we're going to go ahead and create our banner. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, but this punch is awesome to help you with those banners. The other way that you can make your banner is you can, with your scissors, cut up the middle and then cut from side to side, and it gives you a banner. But I just like to go ahead and use this punch, and then what I do is I just stick it in here. Try to make sure that this point is in the middle. That looks good. And then I just go ahead and punch it. And then we're going to do the same thing with the paper that we're going to adhere it to. So again, we make sure we get to the middle of the paper and try to make sure we're straight here, and go ahead and punch. Okay, so then we have our banner. Let's glue these together, and I think we can put the punch away. Now this is like a foil paper that I'm using, and the reason is because I just had one little sheet and I thought, let's use it. And I'm kind of glad I did, because now I really believe that I would use that more for a anniversary or a wedding, or I guess you could use it for a birthday if you wanted to. So this is a little bit tricky without getting my head in the camera. But let's go ahead and do it. Aha! Done. All right, and then this is going to go on the card. I'm putting it on the left side, but I really think you can be creative and you could even put it in the middle. You're just going to have to adjust your cuts. So it really is what you would prefer. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and put it here. With these dots, it's kind of easy to make sure you get it straighter, because you can just kind of follow the dots there. I didn't think of that before. Okay, and so I do have an oval. This is out of the basic gray and then out of the basic white, and we're going to layer them, and we can put our sentiment on it. Now, before we do, I do want to go ahead and put this on the card base. One thing I wanted to just quickly share is that you could do many things right here, right now. You could go ahead and take, and I'm going to use this, you could go ahead and take your twine and just wrap it around here, and you would have, it's just a way to add some texture, and then that way you could secure it on the back before you glue it on the card. So that's an option. In this card, I used brads. I had 3 leftover brads, and I've had them for a really, really long time. I started paper crafting way back in 1995, so I'm not sure in what period of my crafting that these came into my possession, but I did want to use them up, and I had exactly 3, so this was perfect. So before I adhered the base like this, then I put these brads on. I did go ahead and create holes for the brads to go through, and I used this crocodile. I've had this for a long time also, but I know that you can pick them up at any reputable craft store, and so they're perfect. They're great for the eyelets. They have 2 hole punches, one on each side, so one for the smaller, which is, this is the one I used, and one for the larger. And you can also adjust the guide here so that you can adjust how deep you make the hole. So this is a studio favorite. I haven't seen them in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, but once you start paper crafting, you'll pick up things like this just to make your life easier, and then you want something that you're going to be able to use again and again. And I can't tell you how much it costs because I don't really remember, but you can find them at any craft store. Okay, so moving on. So I did use the brads. Today I'm going to use some rhinestones because, like I said, I only had the 3 brads. So we are okay to go ahead and adhere this onto the card base. We'll try to center it. Now, because of the dark colors, I am kind of happy to use, to let some of the white cardstock pop through. Just want to make sure I get it straight here. Yep. Okay. So there we are. And then You can pop this up if you want to with some dimensionals. I did with this because I already have dimension with the brads, and so this is not gonna, this will just kind of even it out. And when I say that, I did because I already had the brads. Remember that the more bulk you have when you mail it, you may need to add postage to it. So since I was probably going to have to add postage because of the brads, I just went ahead and did use dimensionals for the sentiment. And I am going to use rhinestones, so I am going to go ahead and use dimensionals with this again. Before we use the dimensionals though, I do want to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. And because I did a Just For You on this one, I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's the one I have, the stamp set I have out. And the Just For You stamp set comes from, oh, Here's From You. Sorry, Here For You. So I got it from the So Much Love stamp set. It was just a nice sentiment, I felt. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that on here. And again, we're going to use the basic gray. And you barely need to tap it. Sometimes when we're in a hurry, we press too hard and then we get that shadow. I always like to stamp it on the side to make sure I don't have any kind of shadow going on. And I am going to put this stamp a little, well, a little to the right and as close to the middle as I can get it. And I'll go ahead and stamp it. And then we do wash off our stamps so that when we put them away, it's not an issue. They're all clean. Okay, so then we can just go ahead and adhere this to this. Now, I did use scrap, so you can see that there were some marks on it, but you're not ever going to see it because it's adhered to the oval. And these ovals are oval dies, and they're so awesome to have because, you know, you can just cut your dies and they're layering, so you have the different sizes. I'm not sure that I would even do very many ovals if I had to cut these by hand. And back in the day, we did have stencils and we had to trace them and then cut them out. But paper crafting's come a long way and it just makes our life easier. So before we adhere it though, as you could see on this card, I had some dots. Now these dots came from the So Much Love stamp set. You can see that they're right here. And I just did that for interest. So I had dots, kind of dots in this designer paper, and so I just wanted to repeat it. And I have, in this card that we're making together, there are the dots right here. And these are lines. It's not really herringbone. They're just lines on this paper. But let's go ahead and put the dots, and I have it on this little stamp. And so I like to stamp this off. And we don't need a lot, just something to kind of bring the stamp thing in. And now while we have this stamp out, let's go ahead and, I thought I brought my envelope over here. Okay, so you would go ahead and stamp it on the back of your envelope. I guess I didn't, just like I did here. And what's nice about that is you always will know that your envelope goes with something on your card. So it's kind of identifying, and it just keeps it together as a set. So we're finished with this. Again, we'll clean it off. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp the inside. Now I am going to make this a birthday card. And that's because that's the stamp set I got out. And I don't want to make this a long video, so we'll just do that. But you could definitely, I think this would be a beautiful anniversary card or even for a wedding. So let's go ahead and stamp this. We're going to try to get it in the center. Okay, good. And then we're going to use that dot stamp again, because you can see I did that in the inside of this card as well. Sometimes when I'm doing these cards, it's like how many dots can you do, you know? So I just put it across the bottom and to decorate the inside. So a naked card and decorating the inside, those are all things that you want to think about. Now the other thing that you could do if you wanted to is you could take those strips. I'm going to close this. It's making me nervous. Okay, the other thing that you could do is take those strips that we cut off, and you could also decorate the card this way as well if you wanted to. So we have actually a couple of options here. We also have that stripe that we had going on in the front here too. So you have a lot of options there. Also, this is from the shiny paper, and as you can see, I used it right here, and I'm not sure why, but I like it, so I'm going to use it again here, and then we're going to go ahead and I just used it right here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this together. How many of you like to use those banners? Let me know in the comment section. And also, do you decorate your envelopes? Is that a big deal for you? That's a thing I'd like to know too. So let me know in the comment section. Now we're going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and adhere it, and then we'll put our bow on. Now another thing is I like to use up all of my dimensionals. So they come in little octagon shapes, and so this was full of octagon shapes, but at the end they're not octagons anymore. Of course, they have to become square at some point. So rather than just throwing this away because there's no more octagons, I'm going to go ahead and use them. So I just cut them, and then I can use them on the back of whatever I'm adhering. And I use a lot of dimensional, so it's because I don't want anything falling off. Well, I guess this is going to be a little ornery here. Thought I had it. So I just go ahead and put them on the back. And usually I'll try to make 4, and then I fill in the blanks kind of thing. All right, let's see. We're certainly having weird weather here where I live, and I have allergies, so I do hope I'm not too nasally. Okay, so then I just kind of fill in the inside there. And then we peel off all of the release paper that's on there. And these, I can tell you, get all over the house. Even though I work only in my studio, somehow they get all over the house. I even found one on my dog's tooth one time, so I don't know if he's in the garbage, or I really don't know how that happened, actually. Okay, so I think we have them all off. So then we're going to go ahead and position our oval. Now you certainly could make this a square, this sentiment. You could make it a square. You could make it any shape you want. I just decided to do the oval because everything else was so square. All right, let's put on our rhinestones, and then we're going to do a little bow. Now many times people will say, oh, you use a bow on what could be a manly card. Well, you know what? You use bows on their packages when you wrap them, right? So okay, so I'm just going to use this. Sometimes you can just use your fingers. These are very, very sticky, and I'm just going to put them where I put the brands before. Actually, the nice thing about the take a pick tool is you don't have my big finger in the way. Okay. There's 2. I'm thinking if I want 3 because we do put, it's suggested that you use odd numbers. It's supposed to be more appealing to the eye. Okay, and these are just rhinestones. Also, that's a studio favorite of mine. I have them in all colors. I kind of had been stocking up on them, and so they just come in handy. They're very much like epoxy dots too. So, okay, and this is the take pick tool. In case you don't have one, I just wanted to share a little particulars about it. It comes with 2 different ends. I don't have the end in this. It is like a gummed tip that you can pick up your sequins with, or bits of paper. The reason I don't have it is because if it gets a little loose and I go to tighten it, sometimes I tighten it too much, and that's how you adjust the gum, the tacky gum stuff that comes from the inside, and then I would find that I was wasting it. So I just take it off so I don't have to deal with it. But when I'm working with sequins or bits of paper, then I definitely put it back on because it's very, very helpful. And this tip, if you unlock it and screw it out, you'll see that there's the spatula on one end and the pointy tool on the other, and so you can use them however you need, and it locks tight. So this is in the catalog, and I think that you would find once you have this tool, you'll think, what did I ever do without it? So good investment. All right, let's move on here. So the last thing I want to do is I have this black twine. If you were wanting to fluff this up and maybe use it for, let's say, an anniversary or a wedding, then you could definitely use ribbon. And you could put any kind of ribbon. I think white ribbon would be nice. A gray ribbon with a little iridescence to it would be perfect. So you could use whatever you wanted. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and use this black twine. And we're going to make a bow. And of course, I'm doing this online, so I'm sure it's going to... Maybe I'm going to do it. It's always kind of makes you nervous when you know that there are people watching you do something that takes the very fine motor skills. All right, so I just pull it once I've made the bow, and then I pull it tight, and again, and then I can trim it. So I'm going to put mine right there, so I'll go ahead and trim it now. And then I adhere the bow with the glue dots, also of course in the catalog. And what I do is, depending on how you wanted to do it, you could take a pick tool and you could gum up the little glue dot and put it on here and then just put the bow, or you could put the bow on it, on the glue dot, and pull it off. I am going to do the take your pick tool because I'm going to squish it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a little round dot, and I don't want there to be stickiness if you were to touch the bow. So what I'm doing is I made a little ball, and then I'm going to take my, I want to make sure these loops are correct. I'm going to take my bow and stick it on that glue dot. All right, here we go with that. Okay, so there is my bow, and then we have this card that we made, and you can write your message in here if you wanted to. And again, as I'm looking at it, I really think happy birthday might be, I mean, this would be, I think, a very elegant card, but I really think it would also be super appropriate for a wedding or anniversary. So So you just have to change the sentiments, that's all. All right, so I wanted to thank you for joining me today as we made this card. It was a pleasure to be with you. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It definitely helps the channel grow. And if you liked the content, then please go ahead and hit the like button. And then just let me know if you're watching on the replay. Go ahead and let me know, where you're watching from. That's kind of interesting just to know. And if there are any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I do look back and at the comments and do answer them. So thank you so very much for sharing with me today. And you all have a great day and a nice holiday season in 2021. Goodbye now.